Hello, Stevie Taylor here. Welcome to the Gig Life podcast. You're looking well. I'm glad to have you here. Hope you enjoy this episode, which is something a little bit different. I'm doing a bunch of roundtable type episodes with musicians and performers and industry type people. And being a drummer and knowing a little bit about drums, the first one I put together was a drummers roundtable. So we got 6 Sydney drummers. We sat in a room and we talked about drums. Funny that. We talked about music. We talked about life. We discussed a bunch of predetermined topics. We handed it over to the listeners and some social media followers to ask some questions, which we went through and we discussed and answered. It was a hoot, man. We ended up recording 3.5 hours worth of stuff, which I'm not going to drop in one whole episode, so I'll do it in parts. So this one tonight will be will be part 1. So with me in the room on the panel for this drummers roundtable was Steve Marin, Dave Ferry, Fabrizio Omodei, Dave Goodman, Yanya Boston, and Jonnie Adams. Now, if you read the show notes, there's a little bit more information about each of those drummers. They've all been on the podcast before, having individual episodes. So I've also listed the episode numbers also in the show notes if you want to go and check them out individually. I recommend that because they're great people, very interesting, had awesome careers. Apologies in advance for not perfect sound quality. It was a bit tricky to record 7 people in one room. I'd only ever recorded one-on-one interviews before, so I had to try and record 7 people, and we only had 4 microphones. But we made it work. It's not perfect, but you can hear everything. I suggest maybe listen to it in headphones or turn your stereo right up, get it right in your ears. Yeah, so basically sit back and listen to us just talking about drums and stuff. If you don't like drums, maybe you'll like drums after this episode. But glad you're here. Sit back and enjoy part 1 of the Gig Life Podcast Drummers Roundtable. Cheers. I think we're rolling. Doing something a little bit different tonight. I had a bit of a harebrained idea a few months back and ran it past Steve Marin over there, and of doing like a drummers roundtable type sort of thing. So here we are. So I'm a little bit intimidated by the talent in the room, but
by the good looks.
Yeah. Well, I'll go from my left. So we've got Dave Ferry.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Dave. Dave Goodman.
Greetings.
Steve Marin.
Hey.
Jonnie Adams.
Good evening.
Fab Omodei.
Buongiorno.
And Yanya Boston.
Hello.
All right, so I'll start by what are you guys sort of up to now? What's your gigs at the moment? I'll start with you, Dave.
At the moment, I'm basically retired.
Okay.
But I'm doing Thursday nights at Rambling Rascal with Pete Northcote and Dario Ortolin. Mm-hmm. And we just have different singers in each week. And yeah, it's a really cool venue, and it's pretty much off the cuff each week. Sometimes Fab does it as well. Yeah, I've just come off the back of Frankies for 6 years straight, so having a rest there, and it was a similar vibe, rock, and it was a residency with the same band but different guys each week leading the band. So that's the main thing, and then just sort of freelance stuff like everyone else.
Wow.
And that's me.
That's good.
Dave Goodman, what are you up to?
I'm up to no good.
That's Goodman.
I am freelancing, Mr. Freelance. A few mainstays, not particularly busy, just picking up things at the moment. There's a band, 10-part Invention, I've been in for about 20 years, that's still going strong. And just lots and lots of jazz here and there, lots of different people all over the place, and lots of teaching. I've doubled my teaching load this year, so
right.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Trying to reorient myself towards this.
Very good. Steve?
Yeah, it's just week-to-week gigs. It's been pretty busy. It's quietening down now a bit. I finished up 5 months on working on Jersey Boys. So it's nice to play something that's not Jersey Boys. And I'll be going into 3 months of Saturday Night Fever in March. And I'm sure by the end of those 3 months, I'll probably want to play something else too. Yeah, just those kind of gigs, man.
Craving for Jersey Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Jonnie?
I don't really play anymore. And actually, this year, what are we, March? I haven't done one gig.
Yeah.
So I've really retired.
Yeah.
And
Do you want one this Saturday?
I've got a boat shed for you.
that old chestnut.
Yep.
So, yeah, just I've really focused on family stuff and social life rather than playing. And haven't really picked up a drumstick. New Year's Eve was the last gig. And last year I did 6 gigs, I think, and 2 of them were on one weekend.
Yeah.
So you're talking 3 or 4 months between gigs. But that was probably my most favourite year of playing music I've ever had.
Yeah.
Because I had it was almost all with Doug Williams. So at Lazy Bones, so just a couple of shows that would just turn up and play, and don't have to take your drums. That was good.
That's always good.
But but it's just great to hang with that group of people. And I only did it a few times last year. One other birthday party gig, I think.
Yeah.
And had a ball. But not doing much.
Yeah, great. Fab?
Well, I guess like pretty much everyone else except for Jonnie now, freelancing mostly. Like it's mostly freelancing. I've been busy though. It's been this year, especially March. Yeah, and it's been already been a good year. But it's all freelance. Nothing solid. I mean, I have some mainstays as well. Like I do a lot of work with Dario and on bass and Chris Camzellis on guitar. We work a lot together, doing various bits and pieces, different shows, different gigs, pub gigs as well, whatever. And picked up a few. There's been a lot of new stuff this year. Some of it came off the back of the cruise, because I do the cruises in October.
Yep, the Rock the Boat.
Yep. This week is Ross Wilson, and I picked up another one, which was the Voices, which is the Jason Singh, was the guy from Taxi Ride.
Yep.
He's got, these are all Melbourne-based acts.
Yeah.
And what they're doing now is they're sorry to anyone in Melbourne listening, but they're coming up to Sydney and they're utilising Sydney musicians.
Yep.
Just to be more cost effective.
Yep.
And it's happening the same way in reverse as well.
Victor Rounds is doing that too.
Victor Rounds is doing that one.
He spoke about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's doing that as well. And Wendy as well. She's flying back.
Right.
Because she's moved, Wendy on keys, moved to the States. She's doing that. But anyway, that's what they're doing. They're utilising the stuff here. Different. That.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Awesome.
But it's been good. Been a good year.
Awesome. Yanya?
Yeah, no?
I was just waiting for you to go for the last name and to see how you went on it. That's all.
I wouldn't have gone there.
Yeah. You played it safe. Sorry, I threw you off.
We
love you, Wendy.
Wendy on keys. We love you.
Yes, I'm the resident drummer at the Opera Bar, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Actually, I haven't played that gig for a while. I'm currently taken up Dancing with the Stars, playing drums on the TV show there. So yeah, I'm doing that, which is a new chapter for me. I haven't really done. I've done
TV?
Lots of TV. I've done TV stuff like one-offs with artists, and stuff. But this format is obviously we're part of the house band, which is a 12-piece band.
Yep.
And we're given material to learn every week, and I like the challenge of the we have a limited amount of rehearsal. We have to execute it, and then it's live TV.
Yep.
So far nothing's gone tragically wrong.
Yep.
but there's 7 weeks to turn that around. And on top of that, I've been doing some touring with probably got 3 original acts at the moment that I'm part of and or MDing or helping to organise, and so I've been doing a fair bit of travelling, and actually not a lot of the usual kind of rent gigs around town at the moment, which is great and is also bad because rent doesn't care who you're playing with. Rent just needs the money. So
that's right.
But I've fortunately so far had a good start to the year and seen lots of parts of the country.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So first question I want to kick off is, what are you listening to at the moment? Dave, Ferry.
Always Toto.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. It just depends on, whether it's Simon Phillips, Shannon Forrest, Jeff Beccaro, or Vinny's actually done a couple as well.
He did. He played on the last album.
Yeah. So, no, a bit of everything, actually. A lot of James Taylor. Today I was listening to a guy called Mark Jordan as well. I think Beccaro played on some of his earlier stuff too, but a lot of everything. Actually, a lot of Little Baby Bum at the moment. It's like a kids thing, and what's it? Giggle and Hoot.
Giggle and Hoot.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy, he's on Dancing with the Stars, isn't he?
Affirmative.
Yeah.
He is.
So listening to a lot of that stuff. Actually, Jess and I, my wife and I, coming back from Bathurst on the weekend, our daughter hated all the music, and then we put this stuff on and just loved it. So, yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's actually... But all day, that's the stuff I've got in my head is
sorry to hear
Wheels
that.
on the Bus. Yeah. It's cool shit. Yeah.
No,
Over to you.
Dave Goodman.
Well, I signed a contract with the devil on Saturday, actually, and I got a Spotify account. Yeah.
Welcome to 2012.
Very much. Yeah, I'm right up on it. I've been holding out on getting one, but I just thought, you know what?
Is there a reason why?
Well, I've heard so many stories. I mean, I've never, record sales have never directly affected my livelihood, but I work for people who, record sales depends on, their livelihood depends on that. Yep. So I disagreed with it, and I still do on that as a professional, but as a listener, oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I decided when I got it, okay, I'm sick of my iTunes library that I've just been having on shuffle for like 15 years. And so I'm only listening to things that I've never heard before. So there's stuff I'm catching up on. There's a John Abercrombie album with Peter Erskine on drums from 1989, a live recording with Mark Johnson on bass. And that's the first one I listened to. It's unbelievable. And then there's Bill Stewart's new album with saxophone player Walter Smith III and Larry Grenadier on bass. That's really cool. I really like that. I've been in the car a lot, so I've been checking these out. And then today, just on the way here, actually, I put on a new Keith Jarrett album with Jack DeJohnette on the drums. And just all 3 of these are just making me go, oh, wow. I've actually tried a few other things and rejected them. I'm just unsaving them, keeping these ones. And I don't want to listen to them too much. I just want to get the vibe and then move on to the next new thing. Just keep the ears fresh, because I felt like I was getting stale there for 15 years just listening to the stuff that I knew, Yep. So it's a new frontier for me. It's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Stephen?
Oh, jeez. I'm like you, Dave. I'm listening to what my kids are putting on. I know, it's kind of weird. But my niece and my daughter are really into Bohemian Rhapsody Queen.
Yeah.
That movie that's come out, so heaps of Queen. Which is kind of cool, because it's not that I didn't pay attention to it, but there's heaps of things that I didn't.
Yeah.
You get the old song, it's a banging song. Yeah. My son is totally into Thor.
Yeah.
The Thor that Taika directed.
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And so he keeps me playing Immigrant Song. He's always got me putting Immigrant like 5 times in a row. And he's turning 4 soon, so I'm slowly getting him into, this is this band, Led Zeppelin. They played that song. You should check out more of their stuff. So then we sit there listening to about an hour and a half of Led Zeppelin, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I've been going heaps of heaps back to the folkloric Chilean stuff actually lately.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I really enjoy not hearing drums. So I've been going back to that whenever it's chill out time. And if I'm listening to stuff, it's because I'm learning it or got to play it that week. Or, so it's a weird thing to say, but I try to stay away from too much music just to keep it all chill.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me, yeah.
Jonnie?
Robin Ford, Steen, and Michael Landau.
Right.
I think, just I've been getting into a few guitarists and John McLaughlin, some of the Indian stuff that is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And again, just to support what Steve's saying, the older I've gotten, and the less it's been wanting to actually focus on drums. So rather become more of a listener these days anyway, because I don't play so much anymore. But mainly, Robin Ford.
Which album? Which one?
Well, we're going to bust up one of the questions, I think, because I actually Talk to Your Daughter. Yeah. That's the cornerstone album for me.
Yeah.
Ever.
We'll save that because we're going to talk about that.
Okay. But
that's the whole topic in itself.
Yeah. So, and then just a whole bunch of Sting stuff and a bit of 5-piece band. But in stark contrast, I don't know if it's because it's summer or not, but a bit of
Beach Boys.
James Rain, actually.
James Rain.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny, I was listening to James Rain the other day when I was painting my house.
Songwriting.
Yeah, and John Watson on drums. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, I think Summers actually had something to do with that, but and some 90s Aussie pop, Margaret Ehrlich.
Yeah.
Like tracks like Escaping and all that, and then those late 80s, early 90s albums from some Aussie artists. So, and it's been delightful.
Awesome.
Well, that's hilarious. And I'll tell you why, because just the other day, I don't know what made me do that. I was YouTubing and I saw a James Rain live with John Watson.
Right.
Yeah. And I watched it and I went, oh, wow, because in the 80s I was, I was kind of into that stuff, not to play but to listen to, you know what I mean? For me, it's been just a mixed bag of stuff, bit of him, bit of Toto, Queen, because of Bohemian Rhapsody, same thing, because my kids went to see it as well. So is that close enough? Am I close? How about here? Bohemian Rhapsody, like a lot of Queen, getting into Queen, and the same effect as what Steve was saying, because, they're all tunes that you know or I've always known, but you're listening to them with kind of fresh ears, and it's like, wow, this is cool. So you
There's always a few that escape you, right?
Yeah, there is.
That was awesome.
There is. It's awesome. Believe it or not, some George Benson, some early Benson. Just a lot of stuff. I'm revisiting a lot of stuff that I'd been listening to, but a lot of the time, lately, I've been writing a lot of charts, so I've been having to listen to stuff because I'm writing charts.
Yeah.
And then when you spend a day doing that, it's kind of like, okay, I don't want to listen to anything right now. I'm good. And then if I get in the car and I don't want to listen to anything specific, I might put the radio on and do some radio surfing, and that lasts about 5 minutes. And I'll turn it off. Cool. And I'll try sing. Anyway.
Hang on, one sec. Can you guys sit that mic on that arm of that chair and
Oh, do you want it?
Oh, that's...
I can put it maybe... Oh, that'll do.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
I never am.
You can even, if you stand it up on its end...
Oh, you reckon? Hey. I've done that before.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. Yanya.
I haven't been doing any sort of intellectual music listening. Everyone's, I'm listening to this because I'm checking out this reference and this drummer from so-and-so. And I've just never really done that. I appreciate that people do it. And I think it's also an indication of how I came up playing drums and learning drums, which was not any sort of structured kind of anything. I just played whatever was on the radio. And so I've never done that thing of searching and following drummers, and I really should. Or great, really great, legendary, classic musicians. Really, it's just not something I do. I've always come up with just singer-songwriters mainly, But in saying that, at the moment I'm just listening to, currently I'm just listening to like the week's show that we have to learn for the show, which is 80-second edits of tracks that you've heard on the radio quite often.
Right.
And other than that, I'll put on like an Apple Music like radio station type thing. I'll just find a genre and hit it and put it on. But it's just for background stuff. And if I'm actually doing any sort of intensive listening, I'm listening to podcasts. You know, non-music related podcasts.
Apart from this one, though. Yeah. You're listening to the shit out of this.
Well, yeah. This one, of course. But yeah, I found that that's been the case for ages. Hey, I've never done that kind of, thing of like really seeking out this person, analysing their style and figuring out, what makes them them. It just hasn't been my thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's lazy, that's what it is.
That's your thing.
It's organic.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some sort of nitty-gritty. Want to hear the shittiest lug in Sydney? Because we're in Sydney.
Does anyone want to do a gig at that shit?
Notice that Jonnie got 2 offers of gigs and just sort of laughed them off. And
that old chestnut.
Didn't say yes to either.
You know what it is with the Sydney lugs? Is that you'll think of one, and then about 5 seconds later you think of another one that's even shitter.
Right.
And then they'll just keep on going.
Yeah.
All right,
So
let's go.
I'm just trying to get to the one that's always just time consuming is getting into the casino, like event centre.
In the event
You've got to do like the loading dock and leave the drums and sign the thing and get the car and drive around and get 4 lifts and walk through the casino floor, get to the...
But the crew take it all though, right? Don't the crew take it all for you?
Mate, I'm not Yanya Boston.
No.
I take my own shit.
I thought that's what they did. That's what they used to do at the start.
And then you get back in, and then you got to get to the broom, and then there's no trolleys. You got to do another 4 lifts with gear, and that's a shock. It's just time consuming.
Yeah.
It takes about 50 minutes just to get like their stuff in.
I got one that's similar to that. You just remind me of Castle Hill RSL.
No loading dock. You got to go through the front.
Castle Hill RSL for 2 reasons. One, you got to get to Castle Hill RSL first, and that's a prick of a place to get to. I don't know why it is, but it is. And then you get there, and it's that. Yeah, you got to drive around the back, the loading dock. You got to wait for someone to open the doors, which always takes 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you got to hope they got a trolley, and you push it up this thing and into a lift and through the kitchen up to another floor and here and there, and it's got ramps and shit, and it's a pain in the ass.
This is to play up on the
in the top room, and then maybe 7 times out of 10 it sounds shit up there too on stage. So you're doing all that for a shit sound. But anyway. I'm grateful for anyone who wants to book me for the Castle Hill RSL. I'm free next Saturday.
I'll do that one on Kakon.
This is Fab speaking.
Dave Ferry, what you got?
Outside of Sydney, the worst lug I've ever had was Cathedral Cave at Wellington Caves. And so you had to go down through the whole cave and it was the end and then back out again. So that's the worst lug. Kick drum sounded fucking great though.
Yeah. At least you got
You just hear it go.
Cavernous.
Yeah. What's the hotel at Martin Place? There's like a ballroom.
that one.
It's not the West End, is it? Is it the West End?
Number one.
Yeah, down in
the one
ballroom.
Pitt Street Mall.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the worst ones. Mainly dealing with a lot of the, the bellboys, and they give you a trolley that's that big. Yeah.
Or the service lifts.
The service lifts are good.
Which only go up and down once every 20 minutes, and the door opens and everyone's in there. And there you are with all your gear, and what do you do?
See, I thought of a worse one.
Yeah.
And here's what happened. QVB. Tea rooms.
No
flat load. So when you get
we
your
have a
trolley to
winner,
the
ladies
end-
and gentlemen. We have a winner.
Yeah.
And the gig itself.
Yeah, and then you're sitting in the
But that's the worst one.
It is. It's bad.
Because you got to use those old lifts too.
Shocking. That's a 50-50 of whether you're going to survive the ride.
Actually make it.
Please hold out. Please hold out.
But some travel tips.
Can I add to that, please?
Of course you can. Yeah.
Depending on where it is, the Aqua Shell.
Okay.
Through the Aqua Shell is near where the cinema that was knocked down now. The IMAX.
Yep.
And I had to get from the car park.
Cockle Bay.
No. Oh, yeah, sorry, but the car park with that is it the Ibis or something? It's a big car park.
The Golden Harbour.
Yeah.
2 loads. And,
Wow.
and because there was only 2, or there were as much as I could carry in one go, and anyway, I'd rather do that day. But I've got to say, on the opposite end, one which was actually really surprising many years ago was the, I thought would be an absolute nightmare, was an absolute breeze, was Centrepoint. So straight into the loading dock, and then you go into the lift, straight up the top of the lift, up to the floor, and you come straight out and then set up straight away. Like it was really bizarre.
You would think it would be worse.
Yeah. Like it was, but actually, one other thing with Fab, with lugging, talking about, it was the marble bar. You got to. After the gig, took the drums up, told the concierge to look after.
You know the marble bar gig. You pack down, you put it on the trolley, you take it upstairs, right? Leave it at the concierge. You go down to the car park, you get your car, you drive around, and you do the illegal U-turn to come in, right? Anyway, something was going on that night. I left my kit in the trolley in the foyer there. Get in the car. I was living in San Susi at the time. Get in the car, drove home. Reversed up the driveway. I opened the bar. Drum kit's still on the trolley. Concierge. I forgot to actually, because I got in the car, I just forgot. Actually, I had another note. Can I, a quick one? Do you remember the old marble bar before they redid it? The old Hilton, and it was a marble bar, and you could walk through the arcade through Pitt Street, the old version. And you'd park on the footpath. And you'd load, and it was a bad luck down to the marble bar. It was a ramp all the way down. Yeah. I set up one night, just as I finished setting up, band walks in. Where? No, I'm here. You know what? No, you're in the wrong room. Found out the guy gave me the wrong info. It was the pub on the Pitt Street end. So I had to pack it up and carry it.
Walk it in. The city tax.
Anyway. Yeah, I was angry.
Dave Goodman suggested he wanted to hear some travel tips from you guys, especially the guys that travel a bit.
What's your one, Dave? You got to have a good one, man.
What's my one? My travel tips are all just stolen from everyone I ask. It's a thing I like to ask drummers. Like I asked, the answers I get are really, really interesting. Like I asked David Jones once, David, what are your travel tips? And he said, well, always pack your own tofu and your own soy drink. You know, he says, I don't travel with cymbals or anything. I have he's got one of those barrel thrones. Yeah. And he says, I always take my own gas cooker. Wow. You know, for those regional, you can't get to the supermarket or whatever, you know, and he can't eat anything.
Yeah, you got the motel room with the kettle.
Yeah, and that's me these days too. Like there's so much I can't eat. I'm cooking, you know, like I'd rather eat well than if I have to go without cymbals and just use whatever junk supply.
Can I get more tofu in my fallback, please?
That's David Jones. Then Simon Barker. This was a while back when I haven't flown with my drums for like 20 years or something, so I just don't bother anymore. And Simon said, pack all of your luggage into something that'll fit into the overhead locker so you can take more drums.
Yeah.
Andrew Gander said, pack everything you need, then halve it. But the best travel tip that I ever got was from Phil Slater, the trumpet player. And I asked him once, you got any travel tips, Phil? And his wife, Jodie, I think she's just finished, but for many, many years she was an international Qantas hostie.
Oh, wow.
And so she's seen everything, and he had all these stories. Anyway, so his travel advice was, well, when you're on a long-haul flight and you're in the lounge and they make the boarding call, you know, section C and D, whatever, you know, your section is loading now, boarding, sorry. And then, you know, he said, just sit in the lounge, sit there, wait until they're naming people over the PA, your flight is ready to depart. Wait until even 5 minutes after they've called the last name for the last time, because then you get up and you walk down the ramp onto the plane. There's still people messing around with their overhead stuff. It takes a very long time to load the plane, board the plane. He said, then you get your boarding pass out, and And when you actually check in, request a seat right at the back of the plane, so that you can actually walk the entire length of the plane. And you're walking around, and you're holding your boarding pass, and you're looking at it like this, and you're sort of looking, surveying seats. Oh, is that my seat? No, keep going. But what you're doing is looking for the 2 or 3 seats that are vacant, because everyone else has already sat down and found their seat, and then you find the 3, no one's there, and you go, yes, that's me. And then as soon as the seatbelt sign goes off, you lie down across all 3 of them, put a blanket over yourself and start coughing so no one's going to come near you. And then you've got 3 seats for the long haul flight. That was cool,
I can attest to that. I use that all the time.
Yeah.
On long hauls. All the time. Get on last and take the first available row you see. You can't go dead last. You want to go like maybe 3rd or 4th, right at the end. And you just pick it, and it'll work 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And you just own the spot. It's the most anxiety-driven 5 minutes of your life. And the energy in the cabin at that point is electric. You get down there, because everyone around there is eyeing off that row, right?
Yeah. And they're all looking at you.
They're all looking at you, and they're watching you coming down.
Man.
No. They're watching you come down thinking, is it that person's row? Is it their row? And so you got to own it. You got to totally own it. And you just take it straight away. And it works 9 times out of 10. Only once have I had to get up and move. And for that shame just one time, it's well worth it. Absolutely. And you do it, you just do one pillow at one end, bag at the other end.
That's it.
And you just spread your shit out. It's great. It's absolutely great.
That's good, especially on a long haul flight.
Yeah.
Mine's probably when you're driving to a gig, leave early, and if you've got time, stop at as many little pubs as you can. But it's always just a midi.
Yeah, right.
Just have a midi. And otherwise you just find that you've done, 57 RSLs in a couple of months. So you might as well see a bit of the scenery and talk to locals. Also, too, before you go, if there's, wineries, that kind of thing, good food.
Yeah.
Where's the where's got the great oysters?
I don't know that.
Maribula. Last time I was down there, I went in before the gig, heap of oysters in the fridge,
Nice.
come home afterwards, and just I don't know. I don't have any money at the end of most shows, but hey,
You've had a really good night.
I've had a great night. Everyone loved it. Yeah. So yeah, that's.
Mine was travel with nothing. If they're supplying cymbals, mad.
Yeah.
If you get into a gig and you have no idea what it's going to be.
Extra level of excitement.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Bit of a thrill.
Yeah. It's like, shit, let's see if we get an export and some ZBTs or something. Oh shit, what do I do with this?
The C8 Pros.
I'm down with that.
Rock up with sticks, man.
I generally will travel with a
backpack.
backpack and sticks if it's just a kit gig. But at the same time, I really dug myself into a hole with a couple of the gigs that I look after where, like even today, I had production rehearsal for a couple of different artists. And my car, you couldn't have fitted an 8-inch splash cymbal in the car. It was that full and like riding so low. And I'm playing kit and running tracks, and I've got a big stage rack which runs all in-ears and a whole bunch of tech stuff and SPDs and all this stuff. It's great. It's great toys, but I often will just go, what have you done? Really created a monster.
Too much.
What do you?
I got road cases. They're all in road cases. I fly with all this shit too. Yeah.
What do you drive?
Yeah, I've just got a
Civic.
I just got a Corolla wagon.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's not huge.
Yeah.
I've got the art of the pack down though.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But travel with as little as possible. Travel with as little as possible.
That was actually going to be my advice too, as little as possible. I'll take a stick bag. And usually, because my stick bag has got a lot of sticks in it, I'll just take exactly what I'll need. Right. Maybe 3 pairs just to put them in a smaller stick bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Stick them in my luggage.
Yep.
Cymbals. Only if I have to take my cymbals, I'll take them. I usually take them.
I had a gig in Melbourne this weekend, and in my cymbal case, I managed to put my shoes.
Yeah.
3 pairs of sticks, brushes, tuning key.
Yeah. You know what?
That was it.
I bought one of those a couple of years ago. I bought one of those, protection racket, the big guy
deep
on
one.
wheels, the deep one on wheels, and the shit you can fit in there, man. It's incredible. There's one thing, the handle's bending like this. I'll carry it, but it works. But as little as possible, yeah.
Yeah. Anything?
A sonor drum key and I'm serious.
Yeah.
And Allen keys. The amount of times I've actually averted some sort of drama by having the right size Allen key, like about 20 or 30 little keys and a little like Mentos tin. And just to make sure I've always had a sonor drum key. Because if something turns up, you've got to be able to tune it. So, but if there's any equipment, I reckon a stable stool, pedal, and cymbals after that probably.
Right.
Why
the sonor drum kit specifically?
Oh, because high kids. You don't, sometimes you
slotted.
Yeah.
Or a 10-cent piece.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, or a coin, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That never works, then.
Even in the stick bag right now, there's a sonor drum in the everyday stick bag.
Right.
The Allen key, I went to Adelaide last week and they took an Allen key off me.
At the airport?
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah, they took it off me. It was in my stick bag and it went through the thing. I was carrying it on. Went through the thing and they went, oh, hang on a minute. They pulled it out.
So in case you grub screwed somebody? Or?
Yeah. But they had
I think
what
the
it
conveyor
was.
was loose, Steve. They thought, that's just what we've been looking for.
You're doing the service.
It's incredible. Work. Yeah. No, they took the Allen key off me because, and the woman, I said, why are you taking that? I'm going to unscrew a pilot. And she was like, and she took her name badge off, right? She took her name badge off. She said, I'll show you why. And she took it off and she held the Allen key up to the name badge and it was longer than the name badge. She said, if it's longer than this badge, it's not going on. I went, it's an Allen key. If I need an Allen key this weekend, I'm finding you. I'm finding you, woman. Yeah. Don't take an Allen key, folks.
No, I've had taking the whole. It depends on where you are, though. And I found Virgin's the best. I think
that was a Virgin flight, by the way.
Yeah. But I think
could have been much worse.
Yeah. I mean, the security people obviously that just the terminal, but I think travelling Virgin people at the checkout kiosks and that have been by far the most accommodating for drummers or musicians with equipment.
Right.
And the least favourite probably would be Jetstar. Actually, if you're 1 gram over, you got to pay for it. I mean, that's every time, and then actually quite unhelpful in quite a few situations from memory.
Scoot.
This is a long time ago, though.
Before retirement.
Yeah, before retirement. So,
Ansett.
No. Scoot Airlines.
Or Compass. Yeah.
East West.
Worst stuff up on a gig. Hey, Goodman.
So the Today Show had their 20th anniversary week or something like that, or 25th anniversary week, and I was filling in for Joe Acaria at that time in David Campbell's band, and they had, so Campbell was a guest on the Today Show, and it was July or August, and some bright spark had the idea that the setting should be outside the Opera House with the Harbour Bridge in the background, and it was like a 6 a.m. call in the freezing cold winter, and the Opera House car park wasn't even open yet, right? So I get there, and just the day before, because I'm depping, Angus Birchall is on the album, right? And Joe normally does the gig, but they told us the day before that, oh, by the way, and I had a chart there, and I was looking forward to just playing through some big band thing, and Sony apparently called the day before and said, no, the band's miming, and in fact, and when I showed up, the producer came to me and said, yes, well, you'll be in charge of what are those those playback machines. They're just absolutely dedicated to playing back music recordings on air, whatever it's called. Do you know what it is, Yanya?
No, there's a few different ones, but it's a dedicated playback.
Vibe, right?
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no latency in pressing the button and like the first millisecond of the track going onto the TV, right? So and I've never even seen one of these things in my life, and just the day before I'm panicking because I'm thinking, oh God, like we've got the fake cymbals up here and the drum mutes and Angus Birchall's on the album, and I just don't play the accents like he does. So I'm going to be hitting cymbals and they're not going to be sounding and you're going to hear them and they're not going to be moving. So I'm freaking out because I just, it's all about authenticity for me anyway. So they ushered me over to the set where we're playing and they said, this is the machine. Now, don't touch this button. Just don't touch it until you actually go live to air. And I'm like, oh, okay. So... Right, and that'll start the track. Yes, and it's brushes actually, and and it's we're up on a riser. It's a bit wobbly, and it's my job to count the band in with my brushes, but also to have my finger down on the button ready to press it. And like, how do you do an authentic count in with clicking your brushes and then pressing the buttons? 1, 2, 1, oh shit, and I pressed the button 3.5 beats before the track went on, going to national TV, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I picked up my brushes, and I had these messages from students saying, were you actually playing on that track? I saw cymbals moving, and it was just like this thing. It felt like the end of the world, but I don't think anyone really cared. I felt like I wanted to die. No one was awake. Yeah, no one was awake. Thank goodness. That's why they called it so early.
Jonnie?
The biggest one, there'd be a few actually, but I was filling in for some. There was Deva Pamana got this gig for us for this Indonesian rock band. They're quite prolific where they're from, and the drummer had sore wrists, so they got 2 other drummers to dep part of the gig each. So there's the main drummer's going to be there for the beginning, then the other guy would do 3 tunes, and I'd do 3 tunes, and then the main drummer would finish. Apparently he could do an hour before his wrists were really had it.
It sounds like a very logical arrangement. Absolutely streamlined.
And
what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, and then I came on. Anyway, so we did, and the first gig was in Perth. I'd never been to Perth. The rehearsal, we got there at night time and got trucked 45 minutes out of town, and it's like black windows, can't see out. I felt like I was on another planet. Almost everyone else was speaking another language. I was the only white bloke there, and I couldn't speak their language, so I felt alienated because I didn't know the place. It was dark, and I felt alienated because I didn't know their music that well, and them, and not speaking their language. So, and then we got in the rehearsal room, and then they start. We got through the rehearsal, and they're whispering in their lung bag. And you don't know they're talking about you, but you don't know what they're saying. So, weird looks and all that sort of rubbish. Anyway, so we got on the gig, and so the first guy I think got up and did the gig started. First step got up, did his 3 tunes. I got up to do 3 tunes, and I only got fucking 3 songs, and I counted the wrong one in. And one was a ballad, and the other one was like a hard hitting, and I've just.
Counted the hard hitting.
Yeah, and it stopped. It only went for a few seconds, and it just So I felt pretty embarrassed, but yeah.
I wonder what they were saying about you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. Yeah.
My one was actually identical. We were doing a show. It was like a Cuban theme floor show type thing. It was an 8-piece band, about 10 dancers, and it was everything was real tight. Segues were real tight. It'd been going for a bit, so it was actually really tight show. And for some reason, same thing. It's like the next songs are like a cha-cha-cha. It's like kind of thing. And I just look at the wrong song and I start counting in something really fast. So all the dancers are ready. And they're all just... The entire show just stopped and looked at me.
Wow.
The band kind of fell apart and played something. None of the dancers moved. they literally just all, like, in pairs, and they all just turn around and look at me. The entire show stops, looks at me. The lights are massive.
Beautiful.
1, 2. No, we'll do the right one now.
I got one that I was filling in for Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, in the Lyric Theatre Casino.
No.
Yeah.
No, she was a drummer.
Oh, you mean music stories? Sorry. Yanya, up to you. No, I was filling it, and it was the first time I'd ever played in the pit. And I'd gone there the night or the week before just to sit in with it. Was Pete Skelton playing. And it was set up in the pit, drums were in the middle in a booth, and I sat behind him for the whole show just to get a feel for it. I get there first night for me, and it's all to click. We've got a TV screen here, got your charts, you've got your own mix, your own headphone mix, and it's a split level where you've got the MD who was on keyboards up on a split level, so he could see the stage and he could see the band, right? And he also had a camera on his piano, so on the camera you could see his hands. He would give you cues like this, for the whole thing. It was really, and it was precise. It was precise. And anyway, not to say the least, I was actually quite nervous because I'd never done a pit gig before. We do the gig, and they stopped for intermission. It was Saturday night, full house. Stopped for intermission. We come back on for the next set, and what I did was I had earbuds, and because it felt like it was a bit loud. What I did is I thought I'm going to put, for the second set, I'm going to put earbuds in and my cans over the top just to protect my ears a bit. So we get there. The MD had this thing, right? He would call, get ready, and you knew you had 30 seconds. And then he'd say, get ready again, second get ready, 15 seconds, here we go. And he would hit the click, right? And you'd start. Anyway, so I knew that's a warning thing, get ready in your ears. I put these earbuds in, I start fixing up my charts, getting my shit ready, getting everything ready, everyone's getting in place, blah, blah, blah. And I'm waiting for the get ready. Oh, okay, there's no get ready. And I was nervous, I was fucking nervous. All of a sudden in the distance, I hear this really faint click. Tick, 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 and the band comes in. I turn around, my headphones are still on the... Oh, shit. I put the fucking earbuds in.
And not the cans.
I forgot to put the cans on. Dickhead. Everything went slow motion. I went, nah. And it was a full-on tune. Like, it was like everyone in. Bang, first number back, And you just felt this whole fucking show just go like, whoa, wobble. Everyone wobbled. You could fucking feel it. Like, I dove for these cans and I put them on, picked up my sticks already, I'm crying. We're like 10 bars in already because this song's at like 350 BPM. It was fast. So we're already in. And I find myself, it took me 3 songs to swallow my heart. And you could just feel the band, the whole fucking show doing this one. You can imagine what was going on upstairs.
Just imagine the MD's finger.
Oh, fuck me.
What one would have been.
And here I am filling in. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is fucked.
Yeah.
End of the show, he comes up to me and I was tail between my legs and I said, dude, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to explain to him. As I was about to explain to him what happened, he stopped me. He goes, listen, no. He goes, it's my fault. I really apologise to you. I'm like, what the hell? And he was explaining to me that the bass player, who's the regular guy, was always taking his time. He would fucking, get ready and he'd be like, because he's reading a book. These guys are doing it every night. He was just, and I watched him. He's like, there, like this, fucking everything's slow. He said, he's always taking his time. I say, here we go, and he hasn't even got his cans on there. He goes, and I'm sick of it. And he was getting heated up. He goes, and I just wanted to get him out. I wanted to. And what he said to me, he goes, I always look around first to make sure everyone's got their cans on. Otherwise, I won't call it. If I see someone without, he goes, I didn't look around. I'm focused on him. And he finally put his cans on. I went, right, bang, and he hit it, and that's... And I said to him, don't ever do it again.
He's not listening to this.
No. I didn't mention names, mate. No.
I had a kind of similar one. I think I might have spoken about it on the episode we did, but just a playback situation where I was depping. I was playing for this Australian pop artist at the time who was pretty much at the height of her career, and I was just depping on the gig. And the way that the gig was set up, there was playback, and that was coming off one of those old Roland VS880s. You remember those units, right? Screens weren't lit up. You would set your, this song is on page number here, bank number here, and so the show hadn't been put in any kind of sequential order, right?
That's helpful.
At all. So song 1 was on page 3, bank 4. Song 2 was on page 2, bank 1. Now, some of the songs, the backing vocals were triggered off an SPD. I don't know why, but some of the songs, the backing vocals were triggered off SPD. And, I think everyone has a different approach to how they will, depending on where the vocal comes in before the one, if they're going to put it on the thing or not, and whether they're going to play it on the bar. And then I had some songs had no playback and had to come off a separate metronome. So there was a metronome plugged. Instead of putting click track on the playback, they had a separate metronome which was handling the songs which weren't on the playback. And on those ones, the BVs were coming off the SPD. Now, I'd been put in charge of all of this.
What could possibly go wrong?
Everything could go wrong. And we were playing to... It was upstairs at the... Is it the Crown in Melbourne? Yeah, the Crown.
The Palms.
The Palms,
right.
yeah. There was about 2,000 people sold out. It was a big show for this artist, It was kind of the biggest show, ticketed show for her, And I'd done my homework, I'd done my bar charts, and it was before iPads and all that, so I'd made my little folder with the plastic sleeves, I put the paper in here, this one, and so at the bottom of each chart, I would write what the next song was, just so I could see what was coming up when I turned the page. Do I need to switch to metronome? Do I need to use the playback machine? If I'm using the playback machine, what thing is it? If it's SPD, what bank is it? Blah, blah, blah. And, got through the first few songs all right, and then I got to one where I was feeling pretty good by now. I'm like, okay, sweats are gone, the nerves are gone, we're all good. Feeling comfortable, don't need to worry about the chart, I got this one sorted. Just look at the next one, and I read the bottom
of the next one.
I read the bottom of it for that song. The bottom's supposed to be for the next, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. I fire up the thing, and boom, let's play the track. Let's play her big single. That's the one on the radio. Let's play it. And boom, and here comes it's just metronome, boom, and it's like 10 BPM faster than it's supposed to be. And MD looks at me, and it's just like, quit this bit, stop that. We went live, which is cool. It's a big enough band to do that. The dance moves were a bit quicker than normal, and we got through it. And a similar kind of thing that happened like 2 times on the one gig, like a similar thing. Shit. And it's amazing how heavily.
It's amazing how the MD would let you do that instead of the MD doing it.
To this day, I don't know. Yeah. I'm really surprised. And funny enough, I saw the MD the other day, and I said, I haven't. I'm not. It's not like I'm mad at him. I just said that gig still haunts me. It's that I think everyone's got that one gig, and that one haunts me. I remember sitting on the riser for an hour after the show, like everything's packed up around me, and I was just sitting there, hanging my head, feeling so bad. The artist came up to me afterwards and said, "How'd you go?" I went, "Well,
Didn't you hear it?"
Didn't notice. And she was like, I thought something sounded a bit different there. She'd barely noticed. So it was cool, but even to this day, and it's 10 years later, it still really bothers me.
Yeah.
And it's amazing as drummers, I'm sure this applies to everyone, how we can, that one thing can really haunt you, or can completely, whether it haunts you for a long time or just ruins the gig, instead of thinking about all the positives that you executed that night. It's that one little mistake. And even on the TV gig the other day, I did something which was, I can't remember, I finished like a 16th earlier than the hit or something, and it sort of ruined my night for me. I was like, oh man. Of course, no one notices. No one.
Yeah, of course.
It's an interesting dynamic that we put ourselves through.
I think what you're saying about there's that one moment that always sticks with you. But the thing about it is that some of them are so scary that you don't actually do them again.
Oh yeah.
I mean, other things might happen. But that particular fuck-up, there's a good chance that won't ever happen again if it scared you bad enough, That's what I found anyway.
It's always a good lesson, yeah.
It is,
sure.
it is.
Mine was a near miss. I got away with it. But it was... I've had a few of those in my day. But, it was the first TV mime that I did. And you know how you always get there and it's a pretty shit kit, it's not yours. And what's like the shittest stools they make? Is it the PDXs like those? Like the ones that...
DXP.
It's the ones that sort of have that...
$39.95.
You know the ones that have the screw hanging out and then there's just the notch over the top? Anyway, it was that... I walked out and I just saw that little fucker sitting there and I went, oh, okay, this is cool. Yeah, so sat down and couldn't adjust it. Anyway, I looked up and underneath the seat, you know when metal... bends and it bends back and then it's just and I sat on it and it was like showtime, ready to go, and I could feel it moving and so thank God it was a mime, because 3/4 of the way through I felt it go and so I just squatted.
Oh, really?
I think it was just my ass cheeks that were holding the stool there. Wow. But can you imagine doing a mime and you fall off the stool
and the drums are still going?
Yeah.
Man, that guy's really good.
He's great. But if you watch it back, you'll see why I'm smiling, though. Probably because the things on my ass.
Stevie, find the link. Find the link to that one, please.
In the show notes.
I did a mime. I was talking about this with someone yesterday. I did a mime for an American pop artist probably a year ago, maybe a bit longer. And, when this has happened on 2 occasions now where, like, they get you the tracks the night before, and it's not just the single that you've heard on the radio. It's the live arrangement from their world tour with the drummer chopping over everything. And you've got to then expect to match it. Okay, it's a 30-second note, triple it into this hit on the 3 ands, and then and it's all gospel stuff. And as a mime drummer, you're always right behind the singer, right? So you're right in shot.
Yeah, you're always in shot.
Always in shot. And we did one, and just before, and there was 3 songs we had to do, and this had happened. We got the tracks the night before, and I'd done my best to get through it, and. After the first song, the singer came up to me just before we were about to take the second song. Like, it was one of those sunrise type things where you do one, then they break, then you do another one. It was on location. And 10 seconds before we come to air, she comes up to me and goes, "Have you listened to the tracks? Have you actually listened to the tracks?" Talk about a bad vibe. And it was bad vibe. I'm like, yeah, we got them at 10 o'clock last night. I listened to the tracks, and here's my chart. And she goes, yeah, because I was watching before, and you hit a hi-hat where there wasn't a hi-hat there. and then we cut, and straight away she's like, you just really need to get it right. And then it was count us in straight away for the next live shot.
Best of luck.
And then and we came off. I mean, what I respected about it was she would go and review the songs in the truck. And then, she really cared about what her show was like. So I appreciated that, but it really bad vibed me for a moment. Yeah. Even to this day, I got a bad vibe about this person. But then she decided after that she wanted to do them again. And she hadn't realised it was live TV. And so her face, she got even in a worse mood when she's talking to the director going, well, we'll do that one again. Like, no, you're not doing it again. It was done half an hour ago.
Wow.
No, we're already onto the cash cow now.
Yeah. Cash cow's coming out. So, that was another one that left a bad taste in my mouth, because I'd done as much work as could have been done with the little time that was given.
Well, they got to give you this. They got to give you the stuff sooner. That's just.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can whinge and complain about it, but you're still the one that ends up on TV looking like an idiot.
Or you just sit there and grin and just play time over.
Yeah. Just play something completely different.
I've got a question a couple down, but just on that, talking about the artist, who's the most difficult artist or band leader? You don't have to name the name. Obviously, don't name the name. But the most difficult artist or band leader or person that you've worked for that's just made you go, never fucking.
I think for mine, it's when someone really just can't communicate what they're trying to get to you, and I find that with a lot of the Latin guys, it's just a bit of a cultural difference. Like, if you're working with a bunch of Aussie Latinos, we're all pretty Aussie. So we're Aussies. So you get these guys that come in and they're like barking orders, and it's like, hold on, you got a good band, this will work. Just chill.
hey man, can you play it like this? Yeah, sure. I find that that
You struggle with
cultural difference,
Right.
where you go to a place like, you go check out rehearsals in like a Cuban band or something in Cuba, and they're all just barking at each other. Oh man,
Wow.
it's just, but no one's like, it's never in a bad mood or anything. It's just how they talk.
Yep.
Would that be compared to like the traffic in Mumbai? That everyone's bipping at each other, but no one's really yelling.
But
at each other?
yeah, nothing's happening.
No, they're just bipping, but no one's angry.
Yeah, I find that difference was probably the hardest thing with, possibly the hardest people to work with when it comes to that.
Dave Goodman?
Oh, well, there are
Without naming names.
the two types of situations that I don't really appreciate, I'll put it this way, is when, I mean, here we are in a room full of beautiful drummers, and you know what it's like, you know what you've put into your craft to get to sound as good as you do. I know that you know that. And it's like playing the drums, it's a particular skill set, I think. And it's a very, very individual. The sound of Fab playing you're the only person in the world who sounds like you.
Yeah.
The drummers seem, because of the infinite choice in the gear and just your touch and choice of what ghost notes to play or not, or everyone here is going to sound individual. And I like it when someone kind of knows my limitations and accepts them and just says, I want you to play. And so the antithesis of that is someone who doesn't really understand or appreciate the uniqueness of what I have to offer, and so they start micromanaging your stuff to try and make you sound like someone who actually they might live a block away, and they should have just called that person in the first place. People who just can't accept what you're bringing. It's just like, well, you've called the wrong person. I'm pretty versatile, but to an extent, And so once someone starts to really, I mean, I'm also professional as well to give people what they want, of course. But there's a threshold of what I think I can deliver and what I'm willing to deliver. I don't like that. The other situation for me is when freelancing so much, I'm reading a lot, and what I can't stand now, there are two things that kind of annoy me, and I'm interested to hear actually. When with the charts, so everyone's got their notation software, and people write these drum charts so that they can hear the notation software play a little drum track for them, and that's the part they'll give you. And it's like, man, just give me a chord chart, or give me a lead sheet, or just a form, just a rhythm section part. Don't give me what your computer sounded good playing. I'm not going to read. Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to play that. Even the best sight reader in the world is not going to play that. I'm sorry. Or just say it's a mambo or whatever it is. And then the other thing about the music notation software is I think people who are using it, I'm generalizing. I'm complaining about the worst. Most people are very good. But the question was, and then it's like, but people don't finish their charts properly, so they don't write any dynamics in, and you're just reading shit down to try and just get a sense of what it sounds like. You don't even know the song. You're hearing it for the first time as you're playing it, and then they'll turn around and say, "That's supposed to be soft there. That's supposed to the dynamics." It's like, well, you didn't fucking write any dynamics in there. I can read.
You've got one person in mind when you're saying all this. Are you just like seeing this person in your mind?
I have.
Dave, come on.
I have many people in mind.
Down.
My lips are sealed, and maybe those are my those two situations are not the ones I like to be in when I play. But I don't mind either. It's pretty cool. I could be sweeping the floor of an abattoir or something. Right? So it's not that bad.
Dave, number 2.
He's number 1. Oh no. They get rid of me first. Yeah, it's really hard to answer this one without throwing someone under the bus, but they deserve it.
Well,
Go, son.
Look, I won't. But just people that kind of especially an artist that doesn't have their shit together and they project that nervous energy, or they project it back on the band or the sound guys, or and the band works so hard to learn this person's stuff and they don't even know it, and it's the same 15, 20 songs they've been singing for the last 20 years and they still don't have their shit together. And you're thinking, hang on, I only got this stuff 2 nights ago, and I know all this stuff. Because I don't chart. I just memorise everything. Sometimes that works for me. Sometimes it's I'm up all night because I just can't. There's nights where I do it easily. I can listen to stuff once or twice and I've got it. Other times it just it takes a lot of work. But
do you give lessons?
No.
Memory lessons.
No. I'll give you one lesson, but you have to remember it. So you sort of think, I've studied this stuff. I even know, I can even hear the tones. I can hear everyone else's parts as well because they're sort of a lot of your cues, and you can't even remember your own fucking song. Know it. Or remember me, and I did the gig last week for you. So you do get a few. I've had a couple of people, but there's one in particular that rings a bell.
Cool.
Yeah.
John?
I haven't played much for quite a while, so...
go back.
The
chase that career back.
Just a hobby. I'm not a musician. I honestly believe I'm not a musician. I don't have the dream, don't have the... live the life, but,
Still figuring out how to use a microphone, I see it too.
Shoot.
I'm now involved in tech.
I got throttled when I was younger, in a good way. And I've had chats.
We've all been there, haven't we?
Yeah, I've been yelled and screamed at, but as an education. And it's not a bad thing. It's been really good because it was Doug Williams. I was 18. I was just finishing high school and I was playing with him down the basement. He'd be on Saturday nights filling in for Mark Kennedy, and big shoes, man. It's a serious reality check. And he'd be screaming and yelling, And then it took a year or two before that actually died off. And I didn't realise that it was just to try and educate. I took it personally.
Yeah.
So, but no, we've had good chats about that a lot since. But just a couple of, if anything, negative at all. Just when someone, what the 2 days were saying, micromanaging, and when someone brings their negative energy across, that's totally out of shape for what's going on and what you're there to do, really. And that's happened a fair amount, I would think, over time. But can't really think of many instances. But those two themes, those couple of themes that they were talking about, definitely.
Fab always brings a downer, don't you?
I do. I know myself. I have to agree. Pretty much the same with these two guys and what John's saying. I think a lot of it is just the worst scenarios that have always been towards attitude, just bad attitude and ego.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was one experience, I won't mention any names, a profile guy who I was playing with, and we had a fill-in keyboard player come in who's a notable keyboard player, really good. And he stepped in, and it's not a gig to lug or step in on easily at all. There was a lot of stuff, a lot of complexities to the music. This keyboard player stepped in, and I remember watching him all night, and it was a biggish gig, and I was watching him all night, and I was blown away at how much he was nailing this gig. And he made one mistake, and the artist, the singer, turned around and tore shreds out of him on stage.
Oh,
and I'll always remember that, and I wanted to throw a stick at him. I was seething. I was just so upset. And the first thing, as soon as we got off the stage, I went straight to the keyboard player, put my arms around him and said, dude, you smashed that gig. You were amazing. And he really was. He really smashed the gig. It was just, I was like, man, that's cool. And that just whole thing, that just goes along the line of the ego attitude, bad attitude thing. The only one other thing I want to add to that, bad experiences, is being ripped off. in the sense of being booked. And there was a situation many years ago where I was in this outfit, and the lead singer was the guy booking the band, and he quoted for this thing, and it happened a few times. There was suspicion that he was taking money. And by accident, he accidentally emailed the printout to the keyboard player.
You know what? I
of what this one particular gig.
I think I've heard
what this one particular gig was paying. And we all just went, wow, really? There you go, he accident. And it was one of those things where you hit send and it's gone.
Yeah.
And I went to the keyboard player just showed it to everyone else. And sure enough, we were getting this much and he was getting that much. Yeah. And he was saying that he was getting that. That's the other one. That's the other one I had. That's just ripping off a fellow musician.
What did you do about it? Did you confront him?
He was confronted. I don't remember exactly what happened with that situation, but something else with this guy happened, and I left. Yeah. I just said, I'm done here. See you later. Out of here. That's it. Yeah.
Yanya.
I haven't really come across a really bad one yet. So far, most of my experiences are really positive.
Yeah.
I had a situation where I was touring with an artist one time, and I could tell that there was a bit of an attitude thrown towards me at times, and I kind of didn't. I didn't let it sort of affect me, and I just plowed through, did my job, and it was a fairly long tour, and the attitude sort of was increasing and getting a little arduous at times. But I mean, what I found about it was I assessed the situation in that this was a first-time experience for this artist in quite a pressure situation, and doing stuff that they hadn't done on the level that they hadn't done before. And so I decided not to say anything about it, really, and just to keep smiling and doing all the extra jobs that I had to do a lot as part of this as well. And it was pretty tough at times, but I was glad that I did that, because it came to a point where sometime after we came home, they called me up, and they must have been done some thinking about it themselves and come to the conclusion and acknowledge what had gone on. And they called me up to get together and apologise for it. And that was just such a really great thing. And so I guess my takeaway from that was it's important to look at the situation around. I mean, I've no doubt every situation you guys just spoke about is completely valid. For my point, in my case, I know that I didn't sort of deserve to get some of the treatment I got handed out. Well, I didn't deserve any of it, really. And it wasn't anything super hard or specific. It was just a general sort of attitude. But that happens with the best of people when you're on the road for a long time in each other's pockets, and you've got to kind of expect that and almost let it wash over you at times. And as a result, things are still wonderful. And a lot was learned from that experience for them as the first time doing something like that. And for me, as having done a lot of that stuff, even just seeing that kind of the positive come to fruition out of some negative kind of vibes. That's my Zen part I'm going to add to the equation.
That's cool. The worst injury you've ever played through, and how did you get through it?
My one was when I was about 18, 19, and I was playing with this Latin band, and these guys were all a bit older, and they just used to joke around, and there was a trolley backstage, and I was the youngest one in the band by far, so everyone's just I'm sitting on this trolley, and everyone's just chucking it across the room, and in one of those, someone pushes it one-handed, goes straight into this brick wall, and my knee goes straight into it about 5 minutes before playing.
Wow.
And it ballooned out, it literally went like that. Instantly. So this fluid started coming into it. I rode on my right foot, so played about the next 2 weeks with the closed hat and just left foot bass drum, and
wow,
which is kind of hard on the Latin stuff, but that was the worst one to play through.
Hey, hang on a second.
You did see me with the fractured wrist, though.
I saw you play with a fractured wrist.
This knee one was worse, though.
Yeah.
At least that was in a cast. And
it was in a cast
stick in it, and it was
with aorta. And I was in the audience watching this guy, and I'm thinking, That's not right, man.
Yeah, and it was on my left hand.
And it was only snare hand. But it wasn't just because it was your snare hand. What you were doing that night too. I'm like, that's not right. That's not fair.
There's actually a fun gig, and it was one of those
cannot
gigs.
do that with that.
Get the able one going.
He did.
I was so skilled, and I couldn't play that gig because it was such a busting out kind of gig, and you kind of.
Dude,
there was no...
Dude, I was in the audience.
I was in the audience,
and I'm thinking, I knew exactly, not that I've ever had a cast on, but I knew, I could see the show, I knew what was required of the gig, and I could see your obvious physical limitation. I was, seriously, dude, I was blown away. You're an amazing drummer, and geez, that night, he smashed it. With a cast in his hand. I was like, at the end of the night, I remember waiting around to talk to you. Like, man, come on, man. What are you doing? Hey, there's gigs in WA, dude. Anyway. That was awesome.
While you're on the mic.
The only one, the one I can remember was when I was in my early 20s. I used to do martial arts, and I was doing, at the time, I was doing a lot of kickboxing. And it was a day, I had a gig that night, and I was at training, and I rolled my ankle, and I actually thought I broke it because it cracked, and I think it was a ligament on the outside of the ankle, and it was my bass drum foot.
Yeah, done that.
And I rolled it, and I heard it go crack, and my drumming life flashed before my eyes. Yeah. I had a gig that night. I managed to get to the gig. I had people help me load in. I wasn't sure. I got home from training, and the first thing I did was play out my bass drum pedal and try to play. And I could do this. I could make the up and down motion, but it was really weak. But any slight movement this way, and it was like lightning bolt to the back of the eyeball. Yep. So I had to get through this gig and just back. Really quiet bass drum, soft. It's like a big. People would have thought I had a big bass drum, big mallet. It was soft. That was it.
I'm going to add to this one. I slipped the disc, my L5 S1, right at the bottom base of my spine, because I broke my back years ago.
Oh, all the other injuries just went.
Yeah,
I'm not telling my story anymore. Jeez.
My foot fell off in that kickboxing.
So anyway, I've got this reoccurring thing where the disc slips because of the parts that are broken. And anyway, so it had flared up, and if you've ever had a real lower back injury and a slipped disc, you can't move your trunk. Wow. Any movement of your trunk is just a pain straight up your back into your shoulder blades and then down both legs. So I got towels, and I wrapped the towels around my trunk real tight to anchor me to the stool. And I just sat there and I just played like this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Told them I can't play loud, you have to turn me up, turn the mics up. Lucky I was playing on a screen so I could hear myself. Playing really quiet, and any slight movement, pain down my legs. And
need a Valium and a vodka with that.
That's got to...
I couldn't get anybody to sub for me.
So sorry, did you say you broke your back?
Not that, I'd broken my back.
You had broken it already? Yes. This was a slip disc, right, okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty nasty, dude.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like telling my story anymore. I stubbed my toe one time. Oh, rest in peace, toe. I hadn't thought about this for many years, but my very first time I played drums in front of, it was a school band, this school band thing. First time ever, I was 12 years old. And there was a school finish that day, and basically I had my hand, I was leaning out of the doorway to say goodbye to someone, just a regular doorway of the classroom. So my hand was, the door was wide open, and my hand was in the hinge area of the door. And someone decided to slam the door. Not knowing my hand was there, they were just kicking me, shutting me out as a joke. Ha ha ha, he's funny, man. Never talking to that guy again. Yeah. Anyway, slammed the door to the point where the door latched, and my hand was stuck in it. And it was just, no one could put it up from my little finger down, down to my wrist, and it became swollen like a foot. Right, and I had to have it bandaged and iced, and then go and play the first gig ever. And the nerves were almost enough to dull the pain. Anyway, I was so nervous. I remember playing all the songs about 40 BPM too fast, really so fast. Yeah. So that was the first one, and then I've had another couple significant ones. One where I used to play a lot of sport. I played volleyball and I snapped a tendon in my right thumb. To this day, it's snapped. I never got it seen to. # men's health. Never had it checked out. It'll be fine. It's just a sore thumb. Years later, I've discovered it was completely snapped. Wow. And so I just played through that for. I think I had to play some hand percussion stuff, which is not a lot of fun. And then that's a bit of a recurring injury. About probably 7 years ago, I slipped. I was down the rocks at Bondi, and I slipped over and caught myself with my hand, but my thumb went right into the crack between two rocks. Wow. And I just heard it just tear the muscle. And that was when I was gigging a lot. I was gigging a fair bit. And so for the next kind of couple of months, I played with the stick between my first and second finger. I'd put gaff tape, sort of reverse tape on the stick so it would stick in there. And I'd play, and my thumb was totally plastered up. And I'd play kind of, this sort of weird action and build some nice callus up there. that burns, I tell you. So that's kind of, it's just not as good as a broken back. Here you go.
Dave Ferry.
I'm hopeless. I'm always playing with injuries, mainly because I play touch footy and I'm getting too old for it. Probably the worst one was that I played a couple of hours before a gig and tore my hamstring. And that was a Frankies gig where it was full on stuff. So played through that. Broken fingers, I've had heaps of those. Yep. Busted tendons, and always too when you break a finger, it always sticks out a bit. Yep. You don't realise how fine you cut it between each drum or rim, and when you've got a finger slightly sticking out, you smash it on everything. But done that. I'm sure everyone's done the hi-hat slice. Have you ever done that one where your hand comes past the hi-hat and you just see the blood
right there?
Yeah,
wow.
See the blood just goes. Especially if you've got coated heads too, it just goes. And it's a house kit too. So the next guy goes, ooh, yeah. So
I've never done that, but I've whacked myself in the face with a stick. And it's embarrassing as well as painful.
I'll tell you the most embarrassing one is you catch your glasses on the way through, and then they flick out, and you have the chick you've been winking at. You've got to go and say, sorry, that's actually mine, and I do have bad eyesight. Yes, that's it's actually astigmatism. Yeah, it's funny. Your mum's got that too. That's great. Yeah, excellent. Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
That's me.
I saw that.
Jonnie.
Well,
we
Jonnie got the mic.
I've actually survived thus far without any, maybe a cut finger or something, because I've always been around tools and working on engines since I was a kid. And that sort of stuff. And I mean, there was a few sliced fingertips in
at the shop, probably the drum shop.
Nothing really. The only one I can remember, which is quite silly, is I was doing one of those percussion type gigs. I think it was at Cargo Bar, and everyone's munted on a Saturday night. And someone thought it'd be a really good idea to unbolt the top of the stool and take it. And it's a bit dark too in there, in some spots. And so I went and sat down, and it fucking went right up my ass. Actually, the top of the tripod. Yeah.
I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've got no laughing matter.
I will. He's talking about worst incidents, John, not the most happiest. I had to go there. Someone had to. Come on.
Oh, actually, it wasn't what you call. Yeah, it hurt, but it wasn't. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
So, and the top of the stool, but I was pissed off because the stool top. I mean, the stool's had it without it, right? So
yeah, right.
I'll buy one. And unfortunately, everyone left an hour or two after everyone had gone, that all the lights were on, and the security guard just held it up and said, "Does someone own this?" And I said, "Yeah." So it actually turned up in there, which is pretty good. So someone just picked it up and ran off with it. So.
Turning a negative into a positive.
Mr. Goodman.
I really don't have much. The only thing I can say is, apart from just having bad RSI about 20 years ago from just playing too tight, that's a whole other story. But
he sounds good under that mic, doesn't he?
What?
The educator.
You sound that microphone just suits your voice.
Can I take it?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you were talking about that in your podcast, right?
What's
You're
that?
Changing up your grip.
Oh, yeah.
Change the
This
grip,
was
yeah.
another necessary
that's
change
RSO
20 years ago.
related.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just playing tight and not realising it, you know. But that's boring to get into. and pales in comparison to these other horror stories.
Yeah.
But no, I've been cooking a lot more recently, and my stupid thumbs and fingers have been pretending to be avocados and tomatoes, and inviting the knife to slice right through them. So I've quite often got band-aids on my fingers when I go out to play these days. You know,
Same.
It's weird. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I think I'm losing my grip.
That's good.
Actually, have you heard about that? Have you heard about that Pete Drummond story, the skateboard? Is this like? Cause he's from the mountains,
he told me that story.
Yeah, and he had to completely. I know the guy who told him to go skating as well. I went to uni with him.
Yeah.
He said,
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. And he, older bloke actually. It was your age student, and this is a long time ago. But so he's from the mountains, and he said, I said, Pete, you got to chill out a bit, you know. And I suppose this is true. This is what I remember. And he bought a skateboard, and then landed on both hands. Had a bad skating accident on both hands, and then he had to completely change his entire approach to holding the sticks and everything.
What makes it really like full on is that the reason why that guy told him he needed to get a hobby is because he had just been through. I think Pete was maybe 18 or so.
He's young, yeah.
Yeah, and he had just gone and taken a bunch of lessons with Gordon Rittmeister.
Right.
And Gordo had this 9-hour-a-day practice routine that he'd chopped up into 3 lots of 3 hours.
Right.
An hour on this, an hour on that, you know. And Pete's really, really into it, and he's so impressionable. Yeah. So he went and did the routine, 9 hours a day. No wonder he's so amazing, right? Yeah. So that lasted for, I think it was 9 months.
Really?
And he said, like, oh, man, I felt like I was starting to lose my mind. And so 2 things happened. That guy said, yeah, you need to get a hobby. Go and start skating. And so he did, and he shattered his arm. Can't play traditional grip anymore. I think he was playing traditional grip in those days. Anyway, he ended up going back to Gordo at some point and said, hey, you know, like, I went through that routine and blah, blah, blah. And Gordo said, what, 9 months? I only managed it for about 3 weeks.
I'm developing a 3-minute routine, broken up into 60-second slots and spread out over 3 months.
There's breaks in that 3 minutes too.
Rest. It's a rest.
Rest.
Just on the Pete Drummond story, the Deconstructed Drummer podcast, which Jeff DeCuckus has, listened to the Pete Drummond interview, and I think he talks about this and lots of other stuff. Yeah, it's a really great episode. Yeah.
He bloody made it work for him, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
he's insanely good.
Incredibly good. Yeah.
Nuts. Yeah.
Yep.
Who is this Pete Drummond you talk of?
New young type.
New young guy.
Actually, someone described it as a metamorphosis of Vinny and Virgil.
Yeah, right there.
Vingil.
I mean, and you'd believe it too. I mean, it's
Oh, someone described him as that. I thought you said someone described me as a minimum.
No, not me.
The love child.
Keen is going in. Yeah.
No. Pete.
Yeah. Kat Hunter was supposed to be here tonight as another member of the panel, but she's had to go off on tour. But she added a question. So how do you guys manage the down periods when there isn't a lot of work compared to sort of the hectic periods?
Wow. For now, being a stay-at-home dad keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah.
School lunches in the morning, school pickups, school drop-offs, chilling at home, then just go out at night.
Yeah.
Go out and do gigs. So
Is
that's more than enough busy for me, I reckon.
Sorry to interrupt there, but is that question coming from a financial standpoint, or is that coming from a... when she said, how do you manage when it's quiet? I suppose
what do you do when you're quiet?
Stuff you couldn't do when you were busy.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I mean, maybe she means when the work's not there.
Yeah.
Well,
Sounds like she's talking about like surviving.
Surviving, basically,
just
yeah.
financially.
Yep.
Paying bills.
For me, ever since I've been doing quite a heavy amount of touring stuff, over the last couple of years. Like, I used to have, and the change in the scene here in Sydney has added to this as well. I used to have 5 residencies a week, at one stage. And so it was great. So no pressure. You get to play with mates. You don't have to really think about it too much, and you assume they're always going to be there. And they're not. I have none at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm doing this TV gig, which is cool, but that's finite. And I've found that I just tell myself it's going to be okay. I look at the averages and go, so far I've managed to keep going, and so I'm going to enjoy the fact that this weekend I haven't got a gig, and I'm going to I take my partner out. I take advantage of it. I go and see some music if I can, or I really enjoy just sitting on the couch. There's something that feels very special about sitting at home and watching TV on a Friday or a Saturday night, even though it's the worst TV, it's terrible. It feels like such a privilege. It's not something I want the privilege of on a regular basis. That's not going to do well for any of us. But
so just on that then, when does it get to a point where, the work's not coming in and I'm going to have to start the hustle?
Fortunately, I can't answer that yet, but it's something I think about. Yep. It's definitely something I think about every,
I think we talked about this.
We did it every
podcast,
month. Like it's inevitable, right? It is inevitable that that the phone will stop ringing at some stage. It will slow down. For some of us, it has. For others, you've got to diversify. For me, I've found that diving into some of the tech side and being able to do some of the emulate some of the pop stuff, like not just your kind of radio friendly, the pop that was what we called pop 20 years ago, but a lot of the stuff which is very electronic now, having the equipment and knowing the equipment well and how to run playback and set up playback and design all that kind of stuff. I found that has kept me in other avenues of work where it might not have been before. And now I've found myself where I'm putting shows together for some artists who I'm not touring with, but they employ me to essentially go in and run their rehearsals, put the playback and stuff together and send them out. So that's something that we all have to think about, because you can't fight time, can you? And there's so many great drummers coming up, and there's limited amount of gigs, and we've seen what is going on with the scene here, and that presents a whole other level of struggles that we got to face. But yeah, at this moment I just enjoy it. If I have that time, I try and do something that's I'm going to enjoy, so I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm not making rent money tonight. Yeah.
On what you said about keeping a positive state of mind as well is really important. If you're doing something, if you're doing something that you love, that you're passionate about, we all know this. You're doing something you're passionate about, you're just going to keep doing it. It is tricky. You've got to stay positive when the chips are down, when the gigs are quiet. It's about getting into a right frame of mind and staying positive, knowing that you'll be all right. But at the same time, that doesn't always pay the bills either. So there's a lot of diversity going on. Everyone's got their own individual circumstances, and there's a lot of players out there that diversify with either teaching or some players teach. Well, you teach a lot, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But you teach a lot and you gig a lot.
Yeah, it's sort of part of the same.
It's all part of the same thing. That's right. So there's diversity there. I mean, it's just, and there's nothing wrong with getting a part-time job too, as long as if you need to pay bills, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you keep I think it's very much about keeping a positive state of mind in life, not just in music, but in life as well. And it's about staying positive, doing whatever you have to do, but keeping that positive frame of mind towards it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree totally, and I see a lot of the shows that you do, and even some of the stories of gigs that you've done as well. I hear like everyone's got a great Fab story. But it's one thing to be positive on stage, but also that hang off stage, and you know, if you've got the choice of 3 drummers and one guy's, they're all of equal level, but there's just one guy that is really great to hang out with, and you feel really good about it, and it's always a better experience. And I think you're dead right. I'm a bit different to some of the guys here where I don't play all the time. I've got a full-time job. Last year I worked full-time, but I also did 3 or 4 gigs a week. And that was only because we had a little bub and we had one income. So I dialed it up. But usually I've tried to put myself in a position where every gig that I do, I can't wait to get there, and I'm loving it. Otherwise, I sort of I still want to try and keep it as my hobby. And a lot of people always say, "Oh, you know, you're always smiling," and I'm literally happy when I'm happiest when I'm playing. Yeah. But I've found when I've done it full time, for every great gig, there were probably 3 or 4 gigs that weren't so great, and I found that took away from that great gig after a while. And you see some, not all. I think it's fantastic that you can keep that energy up, but you see some guys who are a bit. They're brilliant, but they're jaded and they're just going through the motions. And I think you still need to be an entertainer as well as a great musician, and you project energy out to the audience. So I think, so for me, my downtime is work. I just and spending time with the wife and little bub. Yeah.
Dave?
Managing downtime. I've been through so many periods where, you know, I'll look in my calendar and there's 6 weeks and there's no gig, you know, and you suddenly think, God, have I become an arsehole? You know, but then, you know, the next 3 months are just jam-packed with new repertoire to learn, rehearsals galore, travelling, playing. And then you have another down period, and you know. So I think I have a child now, so I decided that I'm not going to be that guy. I don't want to have. I want her to wear new school shoes. You know what I mean? And I don't want. I want her to have a great childhood. So I started to ramp up the teaching a lot about 5 or 6 years ago when she was born. It just was a natural thing. It just seemed to just flow. It wasn't a conscious choice. Oh, now I'm going to teach. I just didn't want to be going and doing a whole ton of gigs that, you know, like I wasn't enjoying wearing a tuxedo. Like I fucking hate wearing tuxedos, like shoes with heels and stuff like. So I'd rather not do that stuff actually, and I really love teaching. So I actually all my bills are covered from my regular teaching. And it's great. And then so gigs that come in these days, I'm really happy to go and play because I don't take the gigs I don't want. Or that
you can be really selective about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sound like I'm sort of Mr. Uppity or anything.
But finding the middle ground.
And it actually, Lloyd Swanton, the bassist, said to me once, he said, you know, as soon as you stop accepting shitty gigs, you automatically have better gigs. Yeah. And a saxophone player, Paul Cutland, said to me once, you know, way back when I was a bachelor and just absolutely scuffling. I was going to Coles at like bloody 11 o'clock because they marked the bread down to 50 cents. You know what I mean? Like, I was on the dole for a week. I couldn't even put a dole form in. They cut me.
That's what I was going to do as soon as everyone left.
And so I know what it's like to be without money. And somehow or other, like you said, Yanya, you know, you've still managed, you're still here. And I like that, man. Like the longevity, everybody who's here is very cool. Like somehow or other, we've managed to just keep going through thick or thin.
Yeah, you kind of got to average it out too. There'll be times. How often have we been like, oh, man, I wish I wasn't working tonight because I'm absolutely wrecked. You know, and you've got to think and be grateful for those times. And remember those times for the moment where you don't have work and go, okay, here's my chance where I can relax and enjoy that time off because shortly it's going to get to a point where I would be wishing I wasn't having to go and do this rehearsal or go and do this thing or, you know, go and work because you're so exhausted from having so much work. So it really does swing about you know, and perhaps we're fortunate that we can say that that here. I'm not saying that it's easy for everyone. There's no doubt, but we're not the young. We're not the young, and so by saying that, what I'm saying is we've been through it, and we're still here for.
We're still here.
There's a reason we're still here. Yeah.
John?
Oh, reason for still here. Spiritual uplift and enlightenment through art is like oxygen for me. So whether it's being with playing's involved or listening, or actually I've done a lot of reading of books recently in the last 12 months. I've never read as much, and it's been like I've been aching to do it. You know, a week or two here and there doesn't. Sometimes you don't read too much, but so there's all the help I can get. Yeah. But you've got to remember though that this music industry is not exclusive to quiet times either. So it's not just like it's happening in one area.
Yeah.
The building game. I mean, I've been a building designer and draftsman or whatever, and I've been flat out. Even there's been a downturn, but I've fortunately been flat out. So I mean, it's not just exclusive to one or two areas.
Yeah.
There's every trade or job set out there is going to have an up and a down. So.
Yeah, well, I'm in mining, so I repaired mining equipment. So when the mining boom was on, it was crazy, you know.
Do as much as you can get.
Then the arse fell out, but it's all coming back now. You know?
Waves, yeah.
I think what you said is really important. Hey, like, just to know, it's easy for us to be very insular in what we do, right? And go, our whole world is our drumming industry, our music industry, but we're a very small sector of the entertainment industry. A small sector of the entertainment industry, which is one industry which is a small sector of just societal, jobs that people have.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, like keeping a positive mind, as you were saying, I often will say to myself, man, I don't have any work this weekend, but I also don't have to get up and go to an office in my case any time, or I don't have to go and do this thing. And also that thought that there are people doing it way harder than me right now. And so for me to, I mean, obviously it's all right to feel sorry for yourself, whatever, but I will often have that thought and go, okay, I live in this apartment which I can somehow afford, and I have spent a lot of money on gear, and just about being grateful for what we have done and what we do have, and the fact that work does seem to keep coming back around, and that if I don't have work for a couple of weeks or something like that, it's a downtime and it will pick up. It's just being positive about that and enjoying that space. It's just rehashing what I said, really.
Yeah, but also diversifying, that's really important. I mean, I branched out a little bit into percussion badly, and the electric, the tech side, that's huge. And then
I do all of it badly.
And it's leading into consulting, like you see, you're running rehearsals and that sort of stuff. So that's more of a consultant angle. So, and then that might go into artistic direction and all this sort of stuff. So, which you might not be playing an instrument very much down the track. It might be all like configurating,
Yeah.
Which is actually a huge step to organise.
Oh yeah, it's a whole other set of skills.
Be on itself,
Well answered. That was good. Well, that's the end of part 1 of the Gig Life Podcast Drummers Roundtable. I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 coming very soon. As always, we need your help to share this thing. So, if you dig the show, please share it on your social media and Facebook and Insta and all that sort of stuff, and tell your friends. You can contact me anytime on Instagram or Facebook at the Gig Life Podcast, or you can email me at thegiglifepodcast@gmail.com. Anyway, again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers. Thank you.